We're live.
We're good? Okay.
You okay?
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. We will call our May 2nd meeting of the Public Safety and Community Health Committee to order. Let's see, can I get an approval of our minutes from April 11?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Okay, minutes are adopted. And then to start off, we do have a quick 5-minute interview with one of our Bicycle Advisory Board applicants, Lauren Pangborn. Hope I said that correctly. I think Lauren is on the phone, on the Zoom. There we go.
Hi there.
Lauren, do you want to introduce yourself and just share kind of why you're seeking this position?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Lauren Pangborn. I live in North Indian Trail, and I'd like to join the Bicycle Advisory Board because I'm passionate about the power of bikes, big believer. Bikes cause less wear and tear on our roads, less traffic. They're a boost in health. They cause less noise and sound pollution than cars. I'm all about all of those things. So I'd love to do what I can to get more bikes on the road, more safe and more convenient access to bike infrastructure.
Thank you. Are there questions for Lauren?
I'll ask one.
Yeah.
Hi, Lauren. My name's Karen. You talked about safety and convenience. If there's one thing you could change immediately about bike access and biking in the community relating to one or both of those, what would it be?
Oh, man. I think safe routes to school is a big one for me because there's just so much pollution caused by cars idling, picking up their kids and dropping them off. That's a huge one for me. So I would love to see more kids able to ride their bikes in a safe and convenient environment for them to do so.
Perfect answer. Thank you.
Any questions for anybody else? Not seeing any. Okay, well, Lauren, thank you so much for being here. And I think, as is usual with our applicants for these boards, you don't need to do anything else. We will, I'm not sure, is that tonight or next week? Do we know?
The 9th.
So we'll be voting on the 9th, and then we will circle back and connect with you after that.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got a few reports, written reports that are in the packet. But we will, and I do want to make one note, there is one change. So on our agenda, we do have a discussion of an interim zoning ordinance for indoor shelters in heavy industrial zones. That has been postponed, but in its place, we are going to have a conversation around the shelter finances. So just an FYI for everybody. So we'll still be kind of talking about that issue, but in a little bit different way. So let's start off with our fire chief, Chief Schaefer, with our fire department update. Oh, I think you're on silence. On silence. Mute. We're still not hearing you, Chief. Would you?
How about now? Does
There
that work?
we go. Yep, we got you.
Are you able to see a screen?
Yeah, we see the
My screen?
front page of your PowerPoint.
Okay. Just really quickly, wanted to share some information about the upcoming wildfire season. But obviously, first off, and most importantly, thank you to the City Council, the people that are watching our community for the support of the EMS levy. As recent as yesterday during Bloomsday, 2 community members clinically died on the course of Bloomsday, and they were resuscitated by the fire department paramedics, and they're alive today thanks to the EMS levy being present and protecting people in the community. So thank you for that. Very much appreciate the support. Moving on to the next slide here, I just want to cover kind of what we're looking to in terms of drought predictions, the WUI concerns, and kind of what we're doing about it, some of the continuous needs that we've been talking about to you for quite some time, over the last couple of years at least. First off, with the drought, what we are expected, you could see us in the top left of the country there, and we're identified as moderate drought, and that prediction is maintaining, even though we have had some jury days here recently. Our fuels, or what we consider fuels and how we measure the moisture in fuels, are still resembling the prediction of extreme expected drought. And that's not just in Washington. You can see what we're dealing with right now in Flagstaff and in the Southwest, all throughout California. It's happening. We talk a lot, or I use these words very frequently. The intermix is often what you see outside of the city. The interface is often what you see in the city, those areas where human development meets areas, homes that are covered with more than 50% wildlands. Think 195, think Indian Trail, 5 Mile, and certainly the South Hills, certainly some of our most concerning interface areas, and where we've been trying to address. From a state position, or from a state perspective, Spokane is rated number 4 by the Survey and Rating Bureau as the most concerning wildland urban interface area. You can see just our level of density and how we look in terms of the rest of the state. The one piece that we have here in Spokane, besides the population, is certainly our terrain, our fuels, and our very low relative humidities in the summer that contribute to quick fire spread. Yeah. We often talk about fuels, topography, and weather. Those are the 3 things that we look at for alignment. When fuels, the topography, and low relative humidity and winds are all in alignment, those are equivalent to fire risk days in Spokane County. And certainly we've seen that throughout the past couple of years. As early as already April, we've had a wildland urban interface fire in the city, around 26 acres. We did issue level 3 evacuations and ordered people to move out in front of that fire. But fortunately, the weather's been participating with us since then, and our activity has definitely taken a dive, fortunately. What we staff, or what you have in your arsenal in terms of response to the consequences of wildland fire, we do have 16 what they call Type 1, or structural engines. We have 8 Type 6 engines, which is the bottom picture, the smaller pickup truck style piece of apparatus that are really good for moving quickly and getting in and amongst brush. And then we did have a request for Type 3 engines, which is the one in the center. Those have become the preferred piece of apparatus for working in the wildland urban interface. They're specifically designed to protect firefighters from embers, get them up off the ground, and provide them with a lot more flexibility to protect homes and extinguish wildland fires. And then lastly, we often mention, and I'll talk about it on the news or during big events, we don't own aircraft, we don't own tenders, dozers, or hand crews. Those are absolutely critical to the success of saving homes and protecting lives. But we have access through an agreement with Department of Natural Resources that opens up the availability of those resources for us to use on an initial attack basis. And then lastly, all of our personnel are red carded in the federal system. We're guided by a number of different plans. I'm going to send this presentation to you, and they've got hot links in them if you're wondering. But just remember, and again, a big thank you, that after the Babrook fire that destroyed the town of Malden, Council took quick action and supported the WUI code and adopted it here in Spokane. That gave us the ability to really apply our community risk reduction approach to the problem. You allowed us to bring in 5 deputy fire marshals, a community risk reduction specialist, a specific planner to do work while these buildings are being placed inside the wildland urban interface, and then also access to the goat herd and to the contract crew. So that's all I had for you for a quick less than 10-minute intro, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Chief, I am not seeing any. I think you might get off scot-free.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I
Okay,
don't know
next
how to
up,
get this thing off.
we have an update from Chief Meidel. And Chief, there was a request, and I think I mentioned it to you, for an update on the MOU with the Native Project.
Thanks, Mike.
Good afternoon, council members. Chair Cathcart. Just want to give a quick update on our Violent Crime Task Force. So this will consist of 2 sergeants and 5 officers. We did have to take away from some of our other units just because our patrol numbers are down. And real quick, just to lay the foundation for that, this was as of 2 weeks ago. So right now we have 21 officers who are either in the academy, so we have 10 that will graduate in June, and then they'll go through about a 4.5-month-long field training officer program, so they won't be available until around October, November. And then we have other officers that are actually in FTO cars. So 21 officers in training at some level we can't use, 13 vacancies to fill, and then 2 weeks ago we had 19 officers either on light duty or long-term disability. I also had 2 other officers approach me within the last week stating that their intent is to leave within the next couple of months, and then we anticipate another 5 that will likely retire and be off the books by the end of June. So all of that to say, I've got almost 60 positions right now that for one reason or another I just can't use. So when it came to the Violent Crime Task Force, I can't take for patrol. We're calling officers in almost every day, every shift to fill vacancies to get us to at least minimum staffing, and then we're holding officers over from the prior shift for about another 4 hours as well. So we're obviously not in a position where we can just take 7 bodies and stand up a task force without feeling that impact. But we'll have 2 sergeants, and we'll have 5 officers assigned to that task force. Their first official day actually is today. We wanted to give those officers we had moved back to patrol some time to get their personal lives in order. And then their goal will be to really focus on our repeat offenders, specifically our violent offenders. We all know that shootings have been up tremendously for the last couple years. There's a lot of guns on the street, so their goal is to go out, try to get those who illegally have the guns or illegally use the guns. And one of the best ways to do that is through other investigations as well. Property crimes investigations and especially drug investigations. There's very few drug investigations that we do where there aren't guns involved. So there will be a couple different avenues that we'll utilize to try to get these guns off the street as well. Any questions on that?
Chief, how many retirees in total by the end of this year do you expect?
So for retirees, I'll have to get you the numbers because some of these will be people who've resigned before they can retire. They've just moved on. I read an article probably about 3 weeks ago from PERF, which is the Police Executive Research Forum. They said retirements in law enforcement are up about 50% nationwide over the last couple of years, and Spokane PD is no different. But some of those are going to be actual resignations. People move on to take other jobs. So for retirements, we can get you that number.
Okay.
And by we, I mean Director Matt Connell, who I know is listening as well.
And I mean retirement / people who are just stepping away from the department.
So yeah, we actually entered the year really good. We had 3 vacancies January 1st. That's it. On a department authorized 356, we had 3 vacancies. And then fast forward to where we're at now, we have at least 13 with an anticipation of at least 7 more. There will probably likely be more than that as well.
Okay.
There's some of these folks that are coming to us are a surprise because they
so-
haven't reached that normal retirement age or even at an age where they can start collecting. So we should know, we have some folks that are going to go in the fall as well. So I anticipate 25 to 30, but we'll get you those numbers.
So, and then just to follow up, and I know there's other questions, but just a quick follow-up on that. So, 21 officers or future officers in the academy, how are we doing in terms of trying to attract laterals from other departments to try and fill these spots? We have the $250,000 in incentive dollars that I fought for, and I know the council got approved in the budget. And so I'm just wondering, are we using that to try and get those laterals here to fill those positions quickly?
Yeah, that's a good question. We absolutely are. I would say that was just formally approved, I want to say a couple weeks ago. But
Oh,
by the time it made
okay.
it through the whole process, it took a while to get through the process. I want to say that was a couple weeks ago. As of last week, we only had 3 laterals on our list that were interested, and that doesn't mean we're going to necessarily hire them. After the background, we may decide to decline as well. What we're seeing is that many of the laterals are lateraling out of state. And again, not to go down a rabbit trail, but most of the laterals are moving out of the state.
Sure.
Idaho, Montana, some of those areas. Is what I'm being told.
Okay, I appreciate that. Other questions?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinnear.
So, Chief, hi, thanks for that. I know that Jackie McConnell's been working on higher heads. I'm wondering how that's going.
So we'll fill these vacancies first. What we're excited about, for those of you who didn't see the article, we had over 700 people apply for Spokane PD last year. We were probably the envy of the state. So we'll fill these current vacancies first before we can get into the 10 hire heads. But the nice part about those hire heads that you all authorized was that means once we get all of our billets full, we don't have to stop. We
Right.
can keep hiring up to 10 more. And what we'll typically see, not exclusively, but typically we'll see most folks that are going to retire by June 30th. And it has to do with retirements and the retirement system. So if we can fill all of these positions, the hope is that then we'll be able to get those 10 ahead so that we're constantly, the larger you get, the more folks that retire. It just happens that way. So with us getting to be a larger organization, we will always have need for those 10 hire aheads. But we first have to fill the vacancies that we have.
So if you were all staffed up, how many police officers would you have?
We are authorized 356 commissioned plus the 10 hire heads.
So 366. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Cathcart?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief. So I just, I'm questioning, we got the violent task force, we got the drug task force, we got the gang task force. I know there's a nexus on all of this, so I guess I'm just challenged with another task force that's addressing some of the issues that the other task force are addressing, and why did you feel the need to pull that out separately?
Yeah, and that's actually a great question. So the gang task force, I would really put that underneath our Safe Streets Task Force, which is a joint collaboration with the Sheriff's Office, FBI. I believe they have a couple other entities there as well. And since we know that a lot of our gang members don't stop at the city lines or the county lines, it makes sense to have more of a regional approach to gang enforcement. So that will be the Safe Streets Task Force that falls under the FBI's umbrella. Our drug unit is focused on dealers, trying to get dealers off the street. How do we get into the dealers? How do we arrest them to start reducing the hub that they become? And so they're focused just on the drugs. And they will work with obviously cooperative individuals, but they'll also work on complaints, things of that nature. But their focus every day is we need to get drugs off the street. Fentanyl, everyone's heard of fentanyl. Meth is actually still a big deal when you look at the ODs. Meth is not that far behind fentanyl in our community still. So they go out every day, and that's what their focus is. So there will be some overlap. Unarguably, there will be some overlap between our Violent Crimes Task Force and our drug unit. But what we don't want is our Violent Crimes Task Force getting caught up in a lot of these very lengthy drug cases, because drug cases can take months. And I think the partnership will be good, because if the drug unit gets into some of these folks who are also involved in violent crimes, there'll be some collaboration between, okay, this one's going to be more violent crimes than drugs, and if our task force gets into drugs, they can say this is probably going to be more drugs than violent crimes. So there will definitely be some collaboration between those two. But we did want the Violent Crimes Task Force to not be tied to basically come in every day and they go out and they decide who are repeat offenders as well. So when you're looking at violent crimes, it's not just going to be the drugs. It's also going to be looking at who are repeat offenders that we're arresting over and over and over again. Our drug unit isn't necessarily going to be focused on just repeat offenders. They're going to be focused on the dealers.
Thank you. And I know in the article, in the paper, that they're focused on these repeat offenders, that they would kind of be following them, keeping up with them. I want them off the street, but I don't want them targeted or profiled going forward. And then with this violent task force, it sounds like regular policing, or it should be incorporated into regular policing. So I'm just challenged again, like best practice outcomes, that we need to go this additional step where we haven't been doing that kind of all along, that you're able to pull this number of people to decide to just focus on that?
Yeah, I'll give you a good example. And again, regardless of what word we use, we're definitely going to focus on those who are the repeat offenders. And our repeat offender program is not just you've committed 2 crimes and boom, now you're our focus. There are certain standards that will basically we have to meet before we can consider them a repeat offender. But an example is this was in the media. We all saw the vehicle prowler downtown that had been arrested 250 something times. That's someone who, despite all the number of arrests, has shown through his behavior, he's going to continue to go out and victimize the community. He's just shown, 250 arrests. Those are only the ones we've arrested him for, not how many he's committed. No telling how many other crimes they've committed. Tacoma PD had a study done out of Wazoo, and I'm happy to forward this to you, where they went and they looked at all of these property crime offenders that were in prison on the west side. And what they found was, on average, each property crime offender that was in Tacoma had been involved in 97 property crimes. Those are the types of folks that we want to get off the street and protect the community from. So when I'm talking about the example of the vehicle prowlers, though, those are misdemeanors. But they can obviously fold over into felonies at times based on how much they steal, the damage, is there a firearm involved. So they're going to be, it will be a unit that will evolve. It will continue to evolve and look at, okay, who are the people that are absolutely one-person crime waves? And so what is going to bring them to our attention is going to be the number of arrests that they've had, if that answers the question.
Chief, you said there's a specific definition of a repeat offender. What is that?
Do you remember how many within a year? Is it 3 within a year?
I don't know the exact numbers. I can send it to you. It's something that's not only something we designated. We set it up with the courts, so that when we designate something as a rope, it's recognized through the local criminal justice system as this person meets the threshold to be classified as a rope. So
Okay.
it's convictions and other parts of their criminal history.
And again, we'll forward that. We used to have a very formalized program, and then obviously with staffing issues, we weren't able to focus on it like we wanted to, but there's actually a protocol that we have to meet. I'll forward that to all the council as well.
And to your understanding, do folks who fall under that definition of repeat offender, do they end up going through community court, or do they get pulled out and are kind of have to go outside that process?
That's a good question. So the way the ordinance is, if my memory is serving me correctly, is that in certain crimes in certain geographical areas, they are mandated to go to community court. I think one of the things that this came up a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, and I think it's kind of fallen by the wayside, is what do we do with those folks who fall within the boundaries of community court? The crimes they're being referred to community court fit that. Where's that threshold where we say, okay, this is your 7th time? Like we have an example, we have one person, this was North, but she was arrested like 7 times in a very short period of times for unlawful camping. Constantly referred to community court. Is that someone we want to keep sending to community court, even though this is like the 7th time?
At some point, community safety has to be the priority there. So
I'm sorry?
At some point, community safety has to be the priority, certainly. And so I think there has to be sideboards.
Absolutely, yeah. Little Johnny who, took a Snickers bar and is 13, we're not interested in little Johnny, right? We're interested in the folks that are really one-person crime waves and creating a ripple effect through the whole community. And by their removal from the community, we've demonstrated a decline in vehicle crimes. Crime Analysis put together a great report on one prowler we had downtown. This was 2 years ago. And by getting him into custody, vehicle prowling has absolutely plummeted. Those are the types of folks we're focused on, is bringing them in, and then the court's going to decide, is this something where we want to give you treatment, we want to give you other options, or we've offered you all of that, you're not accepting it, so now we have to go a different direction.
Okay. Other questions? Go ahead.
Just a quick question. You mentioned earlier that you're losing people to retirements, and there are other people that are leaving before that age of retirement. Do you keep track, or are there exit interviews or something that you keep track of so you have that data to see why people, if there's anything consistent there that might be helpful, why people leave?
Yes, and actually, thank you for that. Again, this is not us having a pity party for ourselves at all, but law enforcement across the nation is struggling right now. It just is. That's a fact. even Perf has acknowledged over 50% increase in retirements the last 2 years. Spokane PD is no different. So one of the things that I asked our department to do was set up a vertical staffing committee about a month ago. And how can we as a city improve the environment to at least provide a better opportunity for increased morale? And I'm not a psychologist. I did take Psychology 101, but that was like 40 years ago. But increased morale is individually based, right? What's important to me and will help with my morale may not be important to you. It may not be important to anyone else. So rather than these piecemeals, I asked Corporal Whittleham is actually leading that, and I think he said he'll be done within about 2 weeks. So let's put together of what do we feel would help us create this environment where we're not losing officers. And in fact, we actually get more officers want to come here. And then I asked him to prioritize that. And so it's getting feedback from all the officers, corporals, detectives. And then I broke it up by layers. So I said, sergeants, you will do your own separate, because sometimes it could be supervisors. You may have a supervisor that you're not clicking with. And I didn't want the sergeant to be in this vertical staffing committee and stifle that conversation, because people who are on the committee are like, well, I want to talk about my supervisor, but he's right here. So I hope to have that within 2 weeks, and I will forward that to the mayor's office and the council as well. Some of it, I think, is absolutely within our control, and I think some of it is just going to require officers to get a paradigm shift. I think the overwhelming majority of the community supports Spokane Police Department. I think with a lot of the national rhetoric that we've heard over the last couple of years, though, I don't think they fully appreciate how much our community supports the police department. I'm reminding them constantly of that as well. So those are things that they have to grapple with and in their mind convince themselves, okay, the majority of the community does support us. They don't think we're going out and looking to do something evil. I can say that so many times,
Right.
but the evidence is there as well from the community. And at some point, they have to also be willing to allow that to soak in for them as well. Just as an example.
Thank you. I just think that might be, there may be some important information in there that gives you a reason why people leave when they do. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Is there another question? Yeah.
Yeah, just for context, you mentioned your staffing levels, and the national average for cities is 2.4 officers per 1,000, and Spokane is less than 1.6 right now when it comes to a population of 230,000. So 356 officers being budgeted. If you worked out 2.4 for a city our size, we'd be at 550 officers as opposed to 356. So when we talk about staffing levels, the challenges that you run into are unique really to Spokane and to Washington State as opposed to other areas in the country. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The FBI will even say that national average, they say, take that into context of also what kind of cities. So when you're looking at your average officers per 1,000, Mercer Island, probably not going to need as many officers as a Tacoma or a Spokane. Bellevue, probably not as much. Gig Harbor, right? So a lot of it has to do with the city and what's occurring within the city as well. And I would say we are a call-driven agency. So when officers log on, it's not uncommon. They will have a screen full of calls, and they just start going down, starting with the top. And while they're going down that list, more calls are coming in as well.
Mm-hmm. Chief, when you say call-driven, you mean that versus proactive, right?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing you said here as we're talking about increasing staffing in the city here, you mentioned that we were the envy of the state, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts as to why we would be the envy of the state.
So the director of WASPA called and asked me that, and I said, it really has to do with leadership, and it has to do with the leadership at the top of the organization. I was completely joking when I said that, by the way. So, and then I answered him honestly, though, and said, really, our officers are our best recruiting tools. They, almost without exception, when we interview folks, they've either like the community engagement that we're involved in, because we post that on our Facebook page, or they like the interactions with our officers. And I will acknowledge not everyone does, but overwhelmingly, the folks who decide to come to Spokane PD will say that it's their interactions with our officers. And it has nothing to do with me. I just want to make sure I make that clear, though.
Yeah. Well, I would say there's probably an element of leadership in that. And so for that, for you and your command staff, I'd say thank you. And I know that we're lucky to have you guys. So
Yeah, thank you.
Chief, thank you very much. Really appreciate the updates.
MOU real quick.
MOU, yep.
Oh, the MOU, thank you, please, yes.
So yes, if, and I'm assuming Ms. Lodge is asking for that. If someone's in contact with her, if she could email that to me, happy to review it, and then take a look at it, and then I'll get back to the council as well.
So is it just at a kind of wait and see kind of stage then?
Yeah, there's some intricacies to an MOU, and I know Council President Beggs will definitely understand based on case law. If a law enforcement agency creates a special, it's called basically a special relationship, the amount of liability then for the city or for that agency is increased because you have indicated in some level a special relationship with this entity. They will get special police services that the rest of the community doesn't. So if you commit to a special relationship umbrella, that liability can increase, and it doesn't even have to be an MOU. It's really, and again, I don't want anyone's eyes to roll back there, but it's based on a dispatcher not in this state telling someone who's involved in domestic violence, the deputies or the officers are on the way. Well, the officers were tied up on other calls, not on the way, had bad consequences, and the court said, because you said deputies are on the way, you committed that, you formed a special relationship. So the liability went to the agency for basically saying we're on the way when they weren't. And that kind of is in a nutshell, this special relationship if you do these things. But I definitely would like to look at it and talk with legal and figure out, is there a way we can still do this without exposing the city to increased liability?
Okay. Anything else? Great.
I'm wondering if we can go out of order, because I have to go to a meeting with them, with
Okay.
the mayor.
Sure.
On the
Which one are you looking at for?
resolution for the municipal justice complex.
Okay, let's just skip to number 4 then.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. So Councilmember Kinnear and I are bringing this forward. We're hoping to suspend the rules briefing to get a vote on it. And this is the Primera complex that most of us have toured as a potential replacement for our municipal court complex, both the courtrooms, justice services, which used to be probation, prosecutors, public defenders, a large contingent of police, and it's for sale at a very reasonable price, including furnishings, but there is a competing potential offer out there, so it's become a little more urgent. And this essentially urged the administration to pursue negotiations and see if something is there, and it sets out a potential funding stream of 1/3 the sale of 2 current buildings that would be vacated, and 1/3 ARPA, and then 1/3 a SIP loan repaid with our criminal justice adjustment fund. That's a sales tax of 1/10%. And we don't have the final prices on it. That's the negotiation, and we have a potential contract with an architect to tell us how much it would cost to remodel. So that's
Could
essentially
I? Thanks. So I saw that yawn. So I've been working on this with Chief Meidel for 3 years, I think, and Howard Delaney. We've toured a lot of buildings and considered a lot, and there's not a lot out there that would accommodate police and muni court. So it's a process, and when this came up, we all jumped at it because those of you who've toured it know that it's really in prime condition. It's great location, lots of parking. So many considerations. There isn't a perfect place out there. So there are some compromises that would happen if we pursue this. But I'm confident that it would really take care of a lot of the problems that you currently have with police headquarters in terms of overcrowding, and certainly for Howard and Muni Court. And honestly, if we don't do this, it's going to, I think, another 10 years before we find something out there that's going to work. And again, nothing's going to be a perfect fit for everybody. There's going to need to be some modifications that would make this work for both police and Muni Court. So fingers crossed we can get this done. I think it's a great deal. I'm excited. Thanks.
Are there any other comments? Does the administration have anything on that? I've got a few concerns that I'm happy to share, but if the administration has any thoughts, please.
Thank you, Councilmember Cathcart. Johnny Perkins, City Administrator. Good morning, Council President, other members of the Council. Just some thoughts. Our job as operations is to take the policy direction of this body and use our best abilities and efforts based on the financial considerations to fulfill the policy that you would like us to move forward on. One of the things that we've got concerns with as an administration is when I got here a year ago, about 3 months into the job, there was a discussion about this facility. It wasn't at this particular location, it was some other places. And there was the concept that it would be a municipal court and a police headquarters. And so that was always the thinking that we had in our mind as an administration. It was going to be a joint center, if you will, a joint complex. The concern with this particular location, it doesn't appear that it meets the needs of the police department. I certainly won't speak for Chief Midle, I'll let him have those comments. But that is one of the concerns, that it doesn't match the entirety of moving the police headquarters. So as we look towards this, and again, our job is to take your policy direction and to do everything we can, but I always appreciate the opportunity as given now to raise some questions, some comments, some concerns, and how we can collaborate. But certainly want to know then if this, in fact, doesn't meet the needs of the police department, what other sources do we want to go to, or how would we collaborate that aspect into this? And then lastly, I want to close with this. Certainly issues of safety and other concerns, not just for our municipal judges, but our courtroom staff, our officers, police records, others that are involved in these areas. We want to also be really mindful and careful of that as well. So the need to have a new facility, we understand that. Just want to make sure there's further conversations as specifically relates to a police headquarters as we move down that road. But again, we take your policy direction and do everything we can to make sure that gets fulfilled.
Don't go. Got a question. So I acknowledge that this isn't the perfect end-all be-all. It's a starting point. It's a big campus. It's 3 buildings. It has room and potential. And so you said 2 things. You said it doesn't meet all their needs, not perhaps now, but it has potential. And I always have an eye on what could be, not what is right now. So given that, do you see any potential in it at all? Or are you just looking at a finished product for police headquarters and or muni court?
I see, first of all, potential in everything. And so there is definitely potential there for police to be part of that site and part of the operations there. The concern is, again, when this discussion arose, it was brought to at least the administration's attention that it was going to be a police municipal court combined effort. And that all of a sudden changed, which is okay, because I've been in many negotiations where things change, that's fine. But I just want to make sure that as we go down this road, if that's your policy direction, that we're also having conversations, okay, what about the remaining portion of the police department and the headquarters? What do we want to do or have considered there? That's all the ask is, to have that conversation. I'm sure you've already thought about that. You're probably ahead of me on it. But I just wanted to let you know from my perspective what was first approached to me was this is going to be a great, nice fit for everybody. It was all going to be great for everybody. It doesn't appear that's the case, and I just want to make sure the police are given the same courtesy as the courts are being given today.
Okay, and I think we have, Chief Midle. We've worked with you on this for years. So I think we are looking out for the best interests of both in this resolution, knowing that going forward, we have potential so that it may not meet all of your needs immediately. In the future, it can, because the site is flexible and, again, has potential.
Thank you.
So, thanks.
So I'll just add a couple things. So to me, I think the first priority should be finding a new location for our police headquarters. They literally are living under black mold, and they should not have been there even for the last year, let alone continuing to go forward. So to me, the number one priority is that. And if this can't accommodate 100% of that headquarters, then that's a first box that's not checked for me. Second, I mean, potentially this is a very high impact use, and to my knowledge, we have yet to engage any of the community around there, the neighborhood, the commercial corridor. I think those conversations need to begin before we commit. I mean, that's happening around the potential shelter site on Trent. We've been talking about public engagement around the East Central Library. If we're going to do it for that, why not for this? And so I think that's a concern. We need to get that input from that community there. And then lastly, certainly not least important, is the cost. I think we're facing potentially a $13 million deficit in our general fund right now. Is this the best, purchase? Are we going to save money in the long run? And I haven't seen all those numbers, and I'd love to see a comparison between this and something that we build to spec that would be that would accommodate SPD, the municipal court, and perhaps could be a partnership with other governments in the area, which is something that I think definitely should be looking into before we make a commitment. So for those reasons, I'm not going to support it, but at this point. But I think as we move along, if there are some alternative ways that we could find, to accommodate police or, there's a lot of good bones in the structure. There's no doubt about it. But again, the cost, how do we pay for it? The impact on SPD because we can't adequately move them. I just think there's too many issues. So, was anything else?
I was just going to say, what this resolution does is ask us to answer all those questions and move forward, as opposed to we've been kind of stalled and we have this opportunity. I'll just note that the police chose their current headquarters. The court system was created sort of a la carte in 2008, unexpectedly, and shoehorned into a place that's very dangerous. And I think we're all, if we haven't already gotten it, getting a report from the U.S. Marshal's Office of how dangerous the courts are, that we need to do it. And we're not probably going to find a place at this price that will do both. But as Councilmember Kinnear says, this would do about 3/4 of it, and then there's opportunity for expansion that we could really finish things. And I think several police like the idea that this would have covered secure parking for the people that are there, which is a big concern. So I can't remember what the numbers were, Howard, but from out of the ground, I thought it was like 60 or 80 million for the combined. And so this would be way cheaper. It doesn't quite get us all there, so we'll have to spend some more money. But this would really save taxpayers money. So that's just my little rebuttal. But we'll save that for debate tonight. So thanks.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else on this, do we? Let's see. Why don't we move along to the update on use and detention services, and we'll get that update, and then we'll go back to the shelter.
Apologize, Council Member Cathcart. I was getting ready to leave, and I realized, wait a minute.
Well, thanks for coming back.
I'm next. Councilmember Cathcart, members of the Public Safety and Community Health Committee, Johnny Perkins, City Administrator. I just wanted to briefly give you an update on the detention services discussions that we've been having with the Spokane County officials. I'm going to go through a process of dates and timings and things that we've been working on over the last few months. This will take about 3 to 5 minutes in totality, and then entertain any questions you have. Last summer, around August, we received communication from Scott Simmons, who, as you all know, is the Chief Executive Officer of the county, indicating that the interlocal agreement with the city and the county for detention services, they wanted to execute their right to end that contract at the end of 2021. I reached out to Scott immediately, or probably around the September time period, said, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That was a surprise. Let's sit down and meet and discuss what that looks like. So I put together a team consisting of myself, our Chief Financial Officer, Tanya Wallace, Howard Delaney. The courts were gracious enough to allow Howard, who has some very long and deep experience and breadth of knowledge on this topic, and our City Attorney, Mike Ormsby. So we got together, and I just basically asked him, what the heck? What is this all about? How do we go forward? You all have the history. I don't. What do we need to do? So we met in October to kind of get our thoughts together. We went forward and met with the county in November, and sometimes meetings take long to get on the book, so that's why I wanted to go through sequentially what we did. We had a meeting. We really wanted to understand, where's this coming from? What are your thoughts? Why do you need to do this? So they outlined a few things in terms of their cost, and they wanted to have the cost be truer. So thanks to Mr. Delaney, who actually came up with, and I'm pointing that way because he was sitting there a minute ago. I'm not sure if he's still there. However, he is. There he is. And thank you, Howard, for all your support and assistance with this. He came up with some great questions we needed to ask them, along with our Chief Financial Officer. So we went back, we submitted the questions. Holidays ensued, and questions didn't come back. But one of the particulars about one of the questions is, okay, if we took the current cost that you're charging us with this new methodology that you want to charge us, what does that look like? And it took quite a few months for them to get back to us. I think it was around February, March, we finally got it. The number we got back showed a $3 million potential increase in detention service costs for the city of Spokane, for the Spokane Detention Services. And we said, wait a minute, hold on, time out. So our group got together again. Howard came up with Tanya Wallace, our chief financial officer, a few other questions about usage data, and then really fundamentally, county, what is your plan? What plan would you like to see going forward? So those are the conversations we're having with them now. The prices have not changed. The prices and the adjustments will not change until we come back to you, you approve whatever we agree with them, and we're really far away from agreement because the methodology that they proposed is not acceptable to our team under any circumstances, and certainly $3 million without a really clear definition of costs for booking and transportation and meals and all the other things that go with that. We need some clarity. So we are going to continue to look out for the best interests of this city, this council, and the taxpayers. And when it's time to come back with something that we think is palatable, we will be back before this committee and the council ultimately to get your thoughts and suggestions on how this moves forward. So I want to close and just say again, nothing is being changed in terms of pricing until we have an agreement with the county. And we are the only entity so far that uses their facility that they've spoken with. They have not gone out and tested the waters with anyone else as far as we're aware. That's my report, sir.
Questions? Yeah. Councilman Kinnear?
So you don't think they've talked to the state or the feds?
As far as I know, well, I can't speak to the state or federal government. I can only speak to the surrounding communities within the regional area. As far as I understand, they have not spoken with any of those municipalities yet.
Okay, because the feds and state pay less than we were, so just find that curious.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if they've spoken to those entities. I will ask at our next discussion.
So I apologize, but this discussion just put a question in my head that I want to ask while SPD's here. Does the city of Spokane, do we still have Spokane City and County detox services and a location for detox, or is that gone?
Our mental health.
Isn't that the SCHOLARS program?
Intervention.
Chief is indicating we do.
We do, okay. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Other questions, comments? Okay.
I just had a quick question. I was just wondering if in this discussion has it been brought up about why the cost was increasing?
We haven't got to those details yet, Councilmember.
I mean,
that
in
is
general, what I've heard rumors is that the county's mad at the city and is retaliating at us. So I was wondering if that's come up.
Well, I'm not aware that they're upset with us particularly. I will check into that, but our chief financial officer has been very clear on we need to know exactly why these costs are going up. Is there various, the one thing I have noted, they think, well, the costs aren't true to the actual cost. Okay, great. Kind of show us what that is then. So we're waiting for some of that usage data, and it's a little slow to matriculate out to us, but we're going to get it before we come back with any type of recommendation.
Johnny, if they come back with a really astronomical price tag, something that we can't even reach, just for whatever reason, what do we do? I mean, we don't have another jail, so what do we do in that scenario?
Well, we've been running around some thoughts of our own because we've asked ourselves that same thing, and I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay.
It may involve one or two of you making some phone calls to commissioners, possibly, but we need to be mindful of that if we can't come to some kind of agreement.
Okay.
Well, is the wastewater charging and the tax on that on the table to meet?
We have not, you mean the utility tax?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have not had that direct conversation with them about the utility tax in this process.
And so how many beds does the city contract with the county? And have not they, I'm saying using the term outsourced, sent people to other locations, Connell, Coeur d'Alene, other surrounding areas when they've had an overflow anyway?
I'm gonna turn to see if Howard, we need to find that out. Councilmember, we'll get back to you.
Anything else? Okay, let's circle back to our conversation on the finances related to the shelter. Eric Finch and Tanya Wallace.
Youth homelessness, Melissa?
Well, yeah, we're just
perfect.
getting back on track.
Yeah.
We skipped number 3.
Thank you, council members. Shay is, Oh. Thank you. I have been asked to share with you some financial information specifically to the homeless services and the shelters that is proposed, so I'm going to do that. Johnny is sticking around in case you have other strategic or operational questions, and then Eric Finch is on the line to help assist and answer any operational questions. So my task is going to be very, very focused, and I'm going to share with you 3 main points. I'm going to first, when the presentation comes up, and it's a very short presentation, and we'll make sure that you all get it because there are numbers involved, and I will not expect you to memorize all those numbers, and it may trigger a lot more other questions for you. The 3 points that I'm going to bring out is I'm going to first show you a little bit of historical context about the money that flows through the city for services, homeless services, and kind of what's happened over the last 5 years or so. And then I'm going to focus really on new funding specific to 2022 for, as the mayor put it, this next chapter. It's not the end of the story, it's just the next chapter. And you're going to see why it is only the next chapter. And then we'll focus a little bit on the uses of that new funding. So we're not going to talk about how we are currently supporting regular routine services. We're going to focus on just the top layer that's been added to that. Okay? So Johnny will navigate for me. So as I said, topics, a historical perspective, and then talk a little bit about in 2022, the additional funding, the additional programming that is to be supported from this additional funding, and then mainly Eric's going to help cover on the next steps of where do we go, since this is only the beginning of that next chapter. Again, a lot of numbers here. So this is historical context, and what this is, these are all of the actual costs that have been coded in our financial system for homelessness services. And you can see from there the numerous funds that these dollars pass through. And I do mean pass through. Most of it is federal funding, HUD, or comes from the state, but you will note the very first fund up there is the general fund. So not all of this is pass through or federal dollars. Some of it is taxpayer dollars in our community. And I should say too, these are only the dollars that flow through the city of Spokane. The county also gets dollars and passes those out as well. So this is just a little subset, but it is probably the lion's share of the funding that is for our community for
Tanya,
this.
would the general fund line item there, would that include, say, expenditures related to, cleanups or law enforcement that is specific to kind of some of this stuff?
Only if it was coded as homelessness services, so most likely not.
Okay.
Certainly not the litter crews, or if that what you're talking about. No, that is not part of this. That would be in addition to this. Most of the general fund really supports one-time initiatives that we've seen, also administration. So this does cover our administration to manage all of these programs. There is a pretty large amount of support that needs to go into subrecipient management and monitoring. Now you can see it fluctuates. In 2017, it was about 10.4 million. It was 9.5 in 2018 on these totals. Then 13.6 in 2019. This is when additional services to fill gaps started to coming into play. And then 2020, COVID hit, and we're now up to 17.4 million. Again, a lot of federal funding is flowing through us. And then 17 million in 21. All of the money, when it is not used on these subrecipients, rolls forward. So that is why you're seeing large fluctuations. Sometimes they spend out, and then we just carry the contracts forward. That's what's actually been spent. But you'll look in the 2022 budget, 34.8 million. So this includes what is budgeted from new dollars coming in, but also what we've rolled over that has been unexpended in 21. So a very significant increase. We can certainly see what these impacts of COVID are doing to our system. So next.
Wait, Tanya, can you go back real quick? What's the Human Services Grants Fund, and why did that see the big jump?
Human Services Grant Fund is where most of those federal dollars and from state dollars that's where we put those in.
And how long do those last?
It depends on the grant. Sometimes it lasts 2 years, sometimes it lasts 1, sometimes it lasts 3. It depends on the grant. Very much like our ARPA funding goes through 2024.
So it's safe to assume in 2 to 3 years this would be back down to 17,000?
It very well could be.
And
Yeah, and some of those expire this year, especially as they're related to COVID. And like rental assistance is probably a prime example of something that was meant to be a short-term lift.
And so on that increase of the Human Services Grants Fund from the 10 million to the almost 23 million, you mentioned a good portion of money is stuff that's carried over. Is that in that number, or is this new funding that's coming in for the 23 million?
Great question. It is part of what carried over, so actual amount spended. But when COVID hit, we did receive, as Eric just said, we did receive a lot of additional COVID-specific funding. And this is where you're seeing that funding spent. And it was anticipated, in 2020 when COVID hit, it was anticipated that a lot of this funding would start to phase out and we would go back to a normal, but we don't know what normal really looks like. So you are seeing it extended going forward. So as we look at 2022, again, this is just a subset. It's not all of that normal. So 10 million is really not being presented here. This is just the new normal. In general fund, and I'm going to kind of go through these, you will see that there are little stars. The ones with a single little star or asterisk indicates they're one time. There is also some with 2 stars, Criminal Justice Fund, which I know was just brought up as potential funding source. Right now, that funding source is 100% dedicated to homelessness. It is part of this picture. It is assumed, while it was approved in 2022, it is assumed that you would approve the use of it in 2023, which is the last year it can actually be used for homelessness services. And then it must be returned back to criminal justice services. By this action, though, of dedicating this criminal justice sales tax for homelessness, it will result in us depleting nearly all of the fund in the criminal justice fund, assuming, again, that you approve next year for the use of this service. But the
Tanya?
1 million,
So outside of homelessness, what other things can those dollars be used for in the criminal justice fund?
most anything in the criminal justice fund, but it is also very prescriptive of certain percentages to be used, like domestic violence and such, prescribed in RCW.
Can it be used for personnel?
Yes. Yes.
So Tanya, so did the criminal justice folks weigh in on this allocation? I know the shelf life of this money, but what was their input into these decisions of going to homelessness and their fund being depleted, or almost depleted going forward?
Council member, I am not sure
Okay.
of the answer of that. The use of this funding is what came out in the city council's amendment for the budget.
Okay.
So I'm not sure on that.
Thank
But the general fund carryover, that million, that is one time. That is the 1 million that has accumulated for the Way Out shelter that you might all recall. That was something that has been a regional initiative for some time, actually at least 2 or 3 years. And then it just recently opened with the Salvation Army on Mission Street. But these were the 2 prior years of accumulation. So that has rolled over. It is now available in 2022. And then the current general fund revenue of $150,000, we did put that into the budget, and you approved that for emergency warming shelters, cooling centers, et cetera. Unappropriated reserves, this was an additional funding amount that you approved through an SBO because of the harsh winter and the middle of the winter snap that we had. The Human Services Grant Fund, HHAA, $500,000. This is a new allocation. All of that funding is already dedicated towards other programs. It's programmed in the 5-year plan that CHH has. This was additional that is really being generated because of the housing sales. HHA funding, or I call it HAHA funding, is generated from the title fees as people, and with the housing market as it is, those have increased. We felt comfortable enough with this allocation for the way out shelter rather than using general fund dollars. But that is susceptible to the housing market. So we watch that very, very carefully. Criminal Justice Fund, we just kind of covered that. Again, you'll see that there is a $0 amount in 2024. That's where it will end. And then ARPA, you did do an appropriation through an SBO of $3.5 million towards homelessness, capital, and operations. And then CDBG, CV eligible. So this is the remainder of a grant that we still have available that we can allocate. However, it has to be tied to CV COVID impacts related to homelessness. And then strategic initiatives. This was a program that started several years back with an initial $2 million that took 3 years of the general fund to fund and support. And it has primarily been used for support continuum of care operations and Habitat for Humanity. It is one-time dollars, and there's a balance of $311,000 left in that. Total resources, I have that highlighted because as we go to the next slide, you'll see what the changed projected programming looks like, and then that would be the carryover amount, again, that we would carry over for subsequent years. So expanded services. The Way Out Shelter, this is new, so I thought it was appropriate to put it up there. This is the amount that we funded from that HHAA funding. Cannon operations. As proposed in the budget, we knew that that contract might end and we would need a little bit of support for 6 months of operations. Not really knowing yet what the landscape was going to be with the state and other funding source. Projection update is about $770,000, and then you can see 23 and 24 estimate. Again, all of this assumes that we don't know what the landscape looks like from feds or state. VOA Crosswalk Capital, that is something that has been on the table, and we know that we've made a commitment of $1 million for their capital. Rapid Rehousing Capital, there was a commitment made, but that did not mature as we had thought it would, unfortunately. And then expanded shelter and expanded shelter operations. These were proposed in the budget, and you can see the amounts 1.5 and 2.8. But now assuming 8 months of operation, you see what the projections are for 2022 specifically. And then 2023, the 336 is only for lease cost through that year. In 2022 is the lease cost for 8 months, plus an anticipated possible $1 million in tenant improvements. Again, these are just projections. Real costs and tighter estimates will come about later. Emergency shelter operation. You saw in the corresponding $150,000 was allocation from the general fund, plus an additional SBO for $270,000, giving us the total of $420,000, which is what we projected for the one incident during the winter time. Homelessness impacts. This goes right to you, Councilmember Cathcart. You had asked, what about the impacts that we're now facing? This is something new. While there have been impacts, we do have an expanded litter crew. These impacts are very specific to the campsites and the additional security and the additional trash and cleanup that is occurring around those campsites. So we are projecting right now about $250,000. That could easily escalate this year, but this is the best estimate we have at this time.
Tanya, can I ask Administrator Johnny Perkins on the Way Out Shelter? I know we had approved 1.5 mil, and that was $500,000 for 3 years. So we paid last year. We got 2 more years, 22, 23. Were you taking that out to 24?
I don't think has it been taken out to 24?
We will double check
No, I think you should double check. I think we're pretty close on that one. Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Tanya. So other than the Way Out Shelter, are any of our partners, regional partners, contributing to anything that is going on within the city regarding homelessness? So are they putting forward any money at all?
Councilmember Kinnear, I don't know the answer to that, but I can certainly inquire.
Okay. I suspect I know, but I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
And do you mean like within their municipalities or contributing towards
Well,
sort of a
if
coordinated effort?
either, if they've got something that they have funded within their municipalities, or are they contributing, other than the Way Out Shelter?
Yeah.
Are they contributing, helping the city of Spokane? Because we know folks are coming from all over the region here. So are we, I mean, we've asked repeatedly.
And there's been a lot of anecdotal suggestions that, you know, folks in other communities are taking folks to Cannon and places like that. And so
Correct.
they're using it. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I'll certainly make an inquiry.
Thank you.
So I'll just, Councilmember Kinnear, the only regional money is coming through the COC, and that's state and federal monies where the city of Spokane gets to manage those funds. But as far as I know, there's been no other additional funding other than a normal streaming source.
Last two lines on here, council members, the program administration. As we add on more programming and expand this is an estimation that it will require more subrecipient monitoring and just overall program management. So this is just a placeholder there for that in recognition. And then,
Tanya, before you go on, I believe those are reimbursable expenses through the grants, that administrative cost. I think there's a number of them range between 10 and 15% administrative costs. Our challenge was we were not executing on some of those administrative costs, so therefore we could not bill for the costs. And so that money, I would say, left on the table. So I don't think that should be coming directly out of the general fund. That goes with those state and federal dollars, a good portion of it going forward. So I would kind of look at what that cost is that we have to maybe make additional, but there should be a floor of what's coming in. So I just ask for a little bit more detail on that.
yes, ma'am.
Sorry,
And
quickly.
tracking that, Councilmember Wilkerson,
Yes, Eric, go ahead.
all I was going to add to that is that the grant amounts, when they talk about like anywhere between 5 and 15% administrative amounts are inclusive within the overall amount of the grant awards. So usually it doesn't, it just means there's less money available for the programs if you fully use that. Your point is valid, though, that we've not been able to kind of fully, execute, just because of staffing shortages, using, I think the administrative benefit that is there. So that's certainly something we still need to look at and work on.
Thank you, Eric.
I see the Cannon Shelter operation going from 900 to 70 and then up to almost 1.6 and then 1.6 again in the projections. Do we have a reason for why that's going to basically double in cost?
Yes, Councilmember Bingle. The $900,000 in the budget was only intended to be a 6-month funding gap. The first 6 months of the year were already funded. So the total estimated annualized cost of Cannon was $1.8 million. We knew going in and constructing the 2022 budget that we had the first 6 months covered. What we didn't know is what the next 6 months looked like. So in the budget, you see there was only the ask for an additional $900,000 to cover that gap. We're now looking at the projection saying that gap only looks like about $770,000, not the full 9 month or $900,000 for the 6-month source. Okay.
City Administrator Perkins, those contracts are due to be renewed, or that one's to be renewed in June? July 1?
June 30 is the
June 30
deadline.
for that one. Okay.
So very shortly, you will see those contracts come back for discussion.
And just for the Cannon, what else is coming? Any other shelter, just so we know?
Mr. Finch, do you mind answering that? I don't want to get the shelter providers wrong.
Sure. So we have a number of them, and this is actually, I think, an important part of the story to tell here as it relates to, I think, the gap funding line item at the bottom there, as well as the ones you mentioned. like Canon, et cetera. But one of the challenges we had, kind of starting at the beginning of the year was, that there was close to about a $3 million, I guess, funding gap, if you will, on things that were initially funded through COVID dollars. There were really kind of programmatic, expansions, right? Programs that we wanted to continue past, this June, but the money for COVID, expired for them in June. So this includes things like, one or two of the programs for VOA, includes Truth Ministries, Women's Hearth, Canon, as discussed. There's actually a longer list, and we can make sure we can get that to you.
Thank you, Eric.
No, I just want to follow up. That's all the gap funding for those projects this year, and we're anticipating to cover it for next year. But wouldn't those be ongoing gaps for their funding?
Yes is the short answer, and I think what the slide takeaway for us really is that where I think we have, I think an incremental solution that gets us through the next year or 18 months, we certainly have a sustainability for funding problem as it relates from 2024 on.
So we could potentially be seeing another 1.8 million
I guess
in 24.
it could be. It just depends on what programs, that we decide to, move forward.
So yes, as Eric pointed out, that very last line is that gap funding. We have been very fortunate to receive a lot of additional grant funding that you saw come in through COVID. And of course, the need has escalated out there because of COVID. But what the funding looks like going forward is still very uncertain. And there you can see what happens in 2024. Again, a lot of assumptions in 2023. The two primary assumptions are that, yes, we use criminal justice funding again of what we're allowed to use. And then we also roll the near $3 million, assuming everything plays out exactly as it is and we don't get any more surprises. And then 2024, the gap funding is really how do we transition these folks to a better place, back to a normal. What does that normal look like? This is the first pandemic that we've had in 100 years. So we don't know what back to normal really looks like. We don't know the full extent of COVID impacts. So I'm going to turn to the next slide, which is next steps. So where do we go from here? This is funding just to start this next chapter in a very long story. So, Eric, do you want to cover these next steps, please?
Sure, and thank you all again for the time. I think what's important as we look at this is that there's two things that we've seen, at least operationally, that are important to take on board. One is that over the past year and a half or 2 years, we've certainly expanded the scope of services and programs, that are being offered. And I think the acquisition of Canon and setting up Canon as a true 24/7 shelter is an example of that. And those needed ongoing funding. There's also an acknowledgement, obviously, as we're trying to work on, mutually together, the need for additional capacity that allows us to take care of more of the folks and have more outcome and services-based, I think, connection points to our homeless population. So as we started looking at what the new shelter piece is, and even from the budget perspective, as Tanya has mentioned, in the mayor's budget for last year and the budget that you kind of improved and confirmed, is an acknowledgement, of general fund contribution to additional kind of sheltering and human services costs. So I think that an important takeaway for this is that we are trying to have a perspective, at least through this next winter, where no current programs get negatively impacted or beds discontinued, et cetera, while we at the same time add capacity to the system. So ultimately those are drivers, of the financial piece, that you saw on the preceding charts. The other is continuing to work on the community engagement piece, which we all know is very important to kind of, both, I think, offset some of the, the negative challenges with siding of our shelters, whether it be existing or new. And I think an important takeaway here to note is that there is work, in its early stages looking at how we would do, I think impact mitigation for the surrounding, businesses or neighborhoods, and how would we kind of do that? So that's part of the conversation as well that probably should be noted. We've talked about, the need, and certainly as over these next, week or two, this information here on the finances allows, I think, us to kind of meet some of the, the needs you had in terms of kind of getting the overall information before or as we made the decision on, the kind of the next shelter, capability. And then I think that we should underscore, as noted, I think, in past conversations in the mayor's, state of the city, et cetera, that, the planning isn't done. This is kind of a continuum, and we will, continue to plan each year and develop solutions that ultimately do take, 1 or 2 years to potentially come on board. And, in some ways, this is where that ongoing kind of community-based planning effort is key to help us kind of, both elevate the gaps that we see as well as the outcomes that we want to achieve as a community. And then lastly, I would just say that we do have some, I think, significant opportunities coming as it relates to state funding and the federal side in terms of ongoing. And I think that can certainly help, especially with some of our programs, but it's not a known yet. And one of the challenges, certainly in my experience over this past 7 months, is that the stability piece, financially is really tough. I mean, we're all used to managing, I think, in the human services and housing standpoint, kind of year to year. But, I think the COVID piece really kind of stress test us because there was a lot of one-time funding, which then you start building programs you really kind of want in some way to continue. So we really kind of have to, I think, dig a little bit deeper in that financial stability planning for 2024 and on. So I'll stop there and be happy to answer any questions along with Tanya and Judd.
And we're short on time, so everybody knows, but if there are questions, let's get those out now.
I do.
Go ahead.
Don't mind. That concerns me that we have kind of a cliff where the money's going to end. It also concerns me that some of the providers rely very heavily on the municipality to fund their programs. And that's always a dangerous thing when you're a social service agency, because you don't know where the money's going to come from one moment to the next. And so to depend on the municipality for the majority of your funding is a little bit tricky. And the other question I would have, and I'm still concerned about the fact that we're paying for everything, but the other question is, where does HOC fit in? And the mayor's announcement on Interstate of the City that that facility was going to be moving. So who's going to be paying for that?
Well, I can start, and then others can weigh in, and I'll be as brief as I can. I think that the need to diversify the funding piece, so it's not just primarily the city or city-oriented grant sources, is omnipresent, and we're quite aware of that. And I think that trying to figure out how we activate, individual contribution, business contributions, as well as matching percentages are all something that we're trying to take on board. So I believe that's an important aspect, Councilmember Kinnear, and we're right there with you on that. As far as the House of Charities, move and expansion piece, again, to me, this is again, that linked effort where, as we plan out the next few years for, emergency sheltering, then that becomes part of that future mix, and may lead to, to the program changes that we make. And I think a lot of those things really going to have to be kind of driven by that combination of the outcomes that we want that we want to see as a community, the funding that's available, of course, because that will be always a factor we have to rely on, and then ultimately the mix of services. I think the challenge we're always going to have is how do we both kind of reward, invest in good programs that give expanded capabilities. Without necessarily always, leading that, to a narrowing of services that are provided. But at the end of the day, where is there some efficiency and other benefits necessarily to some, I guess, kind of integration of some of those services. So those are all things that need to be part of that future planning perspective, and we certainly agree with that.
Just really quickly, Councilmember, thank you, Councilmember Kinnear. From your questions, I take away that we're going to be back with you on many opportunities to keep you updated on how House of Charity, the move, the financing, what that really brings about. But also you can see the second bullet there is continued community engagement initiative. This is a community and regional effort. And the COC, I think, is starting a lot of really great work out there in trying to pull the community together. So I think we're going to see a lot of opportunities for us to have and come to the table to talk about this and what the changes are that need to happen in the system. And every step of the way that we can bring you financial information, we will.
So I just want to follow up on that. I read in the paper House Charity Move is going to cost $13 million. Are we expected to pay some of that?
Thank you, Councilmember Sapone. I was actually going to close with that. I wanted to make it really clear there was no guarantee of funding to House of Charities or anyone else from the mayor or this administration. The letter of intent is an interest to move this forward. It's an interest to be collaborative and be a partner in this process, but any funds released have to go through any formal RFP process like anybody else would have to go through, whether it's ARPA dollars or anything else. There was no guarantee of funding from the mayor or this administration as it relates to that project. And I want to close with this, in terms of the administration comments. We want to be collaborative with you all. We want to bring things back. We want to have conversations. We want to make sure we're doing the best job we can and a better job of communicating and letting you know when we're moving things forward. We've got ideas, and we're going to continue to do that with this process and anything to do with the funding of shelters or any other funding source for the city.
So was there an idea of where to get any funding from our budget right now for House of Charities?
There was a discussion about you would have to compete for a process. It could be ARP dollars, it could be other sources of revenue, but there was nothing definitive about the city would fund this or would come exactly from this quarter. There was nothing discussed at that level in that detail at all.
So the administration has never brought forward House of Charities Move through the ARP process. We've never seen that as collaboration. This is the first time we're talking about the finances as collaboration. So the mayor announced the move without collaborating with council. I just want to make that clear for the record.
The next step would be House of Charities to come forward with a request through ARP or some formal RFP process to be put together. That would be the next step.
If they want to relocate, that's completely their right. And frankly, it's going to enhance those havens. I think one of the biggest problems with the havens is that House of Charity is right next door, which creates a lot of really bad susceptibility for some of those individuals. So I like the thoughtfulness of moving this out of there. I think it's going to be good. And frankly, Catholic Charities has some pretty deep pockets, and I'm sure they can contribute quite a bit towards this process, as well as other entities, business community, et cetera. I think there's a lot of options. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to explore this kind of idea. So,
and that's what the letter of intent was to do, to have that discussion, to explore it. And you're right, the properties that they're looking at are their properties. It's not something we would be purchasing the property for them.
Well, I heard from Catholic Charities that the mayor had promised funding to help support it, for them to consider it.
yeah.
Well, I can
Rob
speak-
told me there was never any promises.
I can speak to meetings I've been involved in on this topic. There has never been a commitment from the mayor or the administration to support funding from the city of Spokane for that project.
Well, we get to have those debates in the weeks and months ahead.
Just big picture again, it looks like we're at least going to be seeing deficit in 2 years. Councilmember Cathcart has talked about a deficit this year of $13 million. So how is this sustainable even for the immediate future? We're looking at one-time money of ARPA, criminal justice to fund our homelessness approach. Doesn't seem like we have that funding, and we're looking at expanding it. So how is it sustainable just this year?
Councilmember Sapone, I think you're now understanding the real dilemma that we have here. This is a push and pull between the need and the expectations that are out there in the community, largely because of COVID, of impacts that we could not have imagined. And a lot of influx of federal funding that have helped stand up these services when we most needed them. But now the hard work does come about of how do we sustain them if we assume that we must sustain them as they are. Or do we need to take, does this just buy us enough time? And I would argue it buys us some time to re-envision what the system is, what it can be based on what we really truly need. But it's been a struggle for this community, this region, for a very long time to come to the table, all of us, and tackle this issue as the pandemic caused it to snowball.
Well, maybe we can have Rob come in and talk to us directly about what their plans are and get it straight from the horse's mouth rather than us kind of just having a lot of conjecture. So I think we don't have time. We have to move on. So
I will say one thing. I just sent all council members and staff a copy of the revised non-binding letter of interest from the House of Charity with one signature on it, but it also says that there may be another one. So I've sent that for additional information so you can ask questions.
okay, so we'll move to Jen Sarasides and the Youth Homeless Demonstration Project. And I don't know, is Melissa joining you for that?
Yes, she's right there.
Oh. Just real quick, Major McNabb, I think we're going to just have to push the cold case update to next month's. Okay.
What are you looking for? What? Yes. Yeah. So if you open that folder, Melissa, that's right at the bottom there. Is it that top one there? And then we just need you to share it into the WebEx, please. Just share the screen. If you go into the web, yep. Thank you. Can you get closer to a microphone, please?
How's that?
We'll swap on this slide.
Okay.
Perfect, thanks.
My name is Melissa Morrison, and I am here with Gage Spicer and Finn Rankin to give an update to council on the Coordinated Community Plan. We are coordinating the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Project, so this is about $3 million coming to the Spokane community for youth and young adult homelessness. It is exciting because the money is a little bit, we can get creative with it, how this money can be spent in the community. And it really takes a special focus on some of the populations most vulnerable to homelessness for youth and young adults. And so in this, we're taking a bit of a new...
I messed it up.
That's okay. So we are taking a community collaborative approach, and so we have Gage and Finn here because they are part of the Youth Advisory Board to give an update down to council about what the Youth Advisory Board is and what the youth engagement strategies that we're using are.
Yeah, so as you can see here with my messed up flyer, I don't know what happened to the formatting. Something was lost in translation. The Youth Advisory Board is a group of youth and young adults aged 12 to 24 with lived experience with homelessness in the Spokane area. In and around. I'm a member of that board. I'm actually the chair and the coordinator, which is a little confusing. Sometimes my wires get crossed. I'm 22 years old. I've experienced homelessness here. And we've got 10 members right now. Our age range right now is 15 to 23, and we work within the community. We work with the Anchor Community Initiative, if you've heard of them, and with the YHTP core team as an integral piece of that. So that's the Youth Advisory Board. If you have any questions, let me know. I have a better version of this flyer that's formatted correctly that we'll send out. I don't know what happened. But
Just quickly, how were the people identified for this board?
how are they identified?
Yes, how were they identified or selected?
Yeah, so there's not a formal selection process. You come to a meeting and you introduce yourself, and we don't, nobody has to pull out their I've been homeless card and show it just so they can be on the board, We have flyers in and around the community. We reach out with as a board to recruit members in that sort of sense. And everybody that's on the board, we don't require that you, like I said, prove that you've been homeless, but we stipend with some of the funding we have available through Away Home Washington and through HUD, through this Youth Homelessness Demonstration Program grant to fund that.
Where have you reached out to find members for this board?
Say that again?
What ways have you reached out to find members for this board?
Yeah, so we've had meetings in a public space. We have money to fund food and events in that sort of sense. We reach out to community centers. What's the one that just went to with the InReach team at VOA? The Martin Luther King Jr. Center, which was awesome, by the way. If you've never been there, very cool. They have a cool computer program thing. I was playing Roblox with some kids there. It was awesome. Played basketball. So anyways, community outreach efforts. Right now we've been pretty virtual, mostly through COVID, but we're starting to have more meetings in places and kind of reaching out to community partners that are might have a public space that we can come have a meeting, that sort of thing.
So if you're going to answer this in your presentation, so you mentioned stipends, so how much is that per student? And then what's your expected outcome from this program? What's the end game or results we're looking for in this partnership?
And youth and young adult homelessness. So advocating. We're advocating on behalf of youth and young adults who are currently experiencing homelessness to make system changes so that, as we're all aware, we have a system that works for some, not for all. We'd like to create a system that works for all. And by ending youth and young adult homelessness, we mean within 30 days, I don't know the exact logistics of what it means off the top of my head, but within 30 days of somebody becoming homeless or in an unstable environment, they would get into a stable environment, housed, that sort of thing. That's the end goal.
Right.
And the stipend. Yeah, so we use Away Home Washington's sort of blanket stipend that they use across the state. They've got 9 different anchor community initiatives. 0 to 2 hours, $40. 2 to 4, $80. 4 to 24, $160. That includes travel time and all that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Easier to keep it standardized than have a bunch of different ones.
Do we have details on what the demonstration is, the project?
We're getting to that.
Oh, okay, sorry, okay.
So, if I fin up. Can I move this? Is it going to ruin everything if I move this down?
It won't move. Oh, yeah.
No, you really don't want to do that.
Don't move it. Oh, I thought you said yes. Sorry.
No, don't move that.
I'm deaf in my left ear. I'm hard of hearing.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about authentic youth engagement. So we hold these values to be true, that all voices, regardless of age, are valuable, and that YAB is integral to the YHDP and the planning process, and that we are integral pieces to the governance structure. We are overseeing that the programs are following the values that we hold and are making sure that they are making a positive impact on youth and young adult homelessness. I also think it's important to call in adultism amongst peers in your community. Our adult partners, we believe that they don't necessarily inherently know more or better than the youth and young adults that they're partnered with, nor should they be making the final decisions on youth and young adults on their behalf. And that youth and young adults should have a final say on things that directly affect them. And that we also have the privilege to work with youth and young adults in the YAB, and our collaboration is not a formality, but it's going to improve your systems to bring new tests of change to the table that you wouldn't have had previously. And with the stipends, I don't think that we should expect to bring youth and young adults to the table if we do not compensate them properly, because their voices are valuable and should be treated as such. And surviving as a youth and young adult with lived experience with homelessness is difficult enough. So I don't think we need to add, free labor on top of that. And I think youth and young adults should be at every table, not just the ones that they have to be at. For example, we have youth at the RFP committee, YHTP core team, and the ACI core team. Authentic youth engagement means bringing youth and young adults to the tables. in any aspect, in all aspects. So, and also making recruitment efforts whenever you can and having that at the forefront of your mind, because the more diverse experience you have amongst the youth and young adults you have, the more creative solutions you'll have for ending youth and young adult homelessness. So thank you for listening.
So with the youth and young adult engagement, we submitted the coordinated community plan last week to HUD. So that's the first deliverable with the youth homelessness demonstration project. So the coordinated community plan was developed within collaboration of the YAB, the YHDP group, and some other community partners. Also held focus groups with youth and young adults experiencing homelessness or housing instability and had over 30 participants of youth. And so those are the different components of the coordinated community plan. So each one of those components was done in partnership with all of these community groups. Next slide. The other key piece to the YHDP work is really taking at heart the HUD principles for the coordinated community plan. So really centering youth voice, looking at how we can use best practices in moving these plans forward with a housing first equity approach to making sure that all youth and young adults can be stably housed if they enter the homelessness system. Okay. So the proposed funding allocations for the different projects, about 81% of that will go to what we're calling infrastructure. So in that 81% would be host homes, joint transitional housing, rapid rehousing, and supportive services. The other pieces that we're looking at funding is a youth-specific coordinated entry program. Right now we have a single adult coordinated entry and families coordinated entry, but it's really, the community has really lifted up the idea of a youth-specific coordinated entry system with staff and case managers that are focused on the specific and unique needs of youth and young adults. And then finally, 10% towards a planning grant to help coordinate all the different steps. So the project priorities that are laid out in the coordinated community plan are coordinated entry, host homes, joint transitional housing, rapid rehousing, and supportive services only, which is supportive services, housing navigation, diversion, a lot of the engagement that's needed to really help people transition to the next place. Any questions?
Just clarity on host homes. What
Yeah.
are you speaking of when you say that term?
So host homes is an idea, especially for minors under the age of 18 that don't necessarily have a stable living environment, but don't fall into a child welfare situation, that they are homes with adults that are interested in, taking the youth in and providing it's sort of like a exchange student format. So you're part of the family, you're part of the home, but you're not in the foster care system. So there's a lot of youth specifically that might need that stable living environment that won't qualify for child welfare services, but need something supportive.
So Melissa, are there capital investments that you're making as part of this? I'm a little confused as to what the actual project is.
No, so if you can go to the last slide, we right now are at the RFP stage. And so May 6th, the RFP will be released. And the categories will be for a coordinated entry program, joint transitional housing, rapid rehousing, supportive services, and a host homes program. So to get those projects stood up, not thinking there's going to be capital in this this grant process. The rapid rehousing, joint transitional housing can have rent support, but not necessarily capital.
So rent support, is that something that would fall under your infrastructure category then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what else is going to fall under that category?
Well, right now it would be the joint transitional rapid rehousing, host homes.
And so we're paying to purchase those, rent those, lease those?
Yeah.
What's the cost?
So right now the VOA has scattered site or a master lease of an apartment complex. Okay. So whatever community stakeholders might RFP for that, that's part of the application is what's your plan for units, but not necessarily building new units.
So we'd rent them from VOA or lease them from VOA for this use?
VOA leases it, so it would be money if VOA was awarded the RFP, VOA leases it, and then the youth or young adults in their program for that would be
Okay.
able to access it. But it's a way to help youth and young adults that might have experienced homelessness get some rental history, be living on their own
Gotcha.
without having to find their own apartment.
Okay. Other questions?
And so next steps is the RFP timeline. So RFP be released this Friday with applications from community stakeholders June 17th. We'll be back to present to council August 1st with the recommendations from the RFP committee. Right now, RFP committee is about 25, looking and for a broad range of community experiences and stakeholders, with the projects hopefully starting November, December of 2022. So we're on time to meet those goals.
Okay. Anything else? Questions?
It was a great job.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right.
Can-
So,
Can you actually unshare that so that we can, thank you.
So we are going to push the cold case update just because of time to our June meeting, but we will move ahead with the last two on our agenda. So next up is Councilmember Bingle with a resolution honoring Detective Juan Rodriguez.
Thank you, Councilman Cathcart. So I read this story a couple months ago, and it's pretty incredible hearing what Detective Rodriguez went through, protecting the community. It's pretty incredible. Was behind an armed carjacking suspect. Identified himself as a police officer. The suspect took off and then shot him in the knee. And despite that happening, he continued to pursue him. And when I was a kid, we were taught to, protect our family, protect the weak, protect the innocent. And you've always thought about what you would do in that situation, and I'm just really impressed and really amazed and encouraged by the bravery and the dedication of Detective Rodriguez. And so I wanted to do something to honor him. And one of the things that we hear from police all the time, and is that morale is low, and we see national stories all the time of things happening at the police, and then an entire narrative is drawn out of minor incidents or major incidents that might not adequately represent police in the United States. And so when I heard about this scenario and this situation where there was just this incredible display of heroism and bravery, I thought it was important that we not only acknowledge that person, but thank the entire police force through Detective Rodriguez. And so this is a way for us to honor him for his bravery. And then at the bottom there, it says that, we resolve to honor our entire police force. And so that was a big deal for me. I'm just so thankful that he is with us and that he continues to be with us. So
Great. Are there any comments, questions? And that's coming up on May?
2 weeks. Yeah, May 16th.
2 weeks. So for those watching, May 16th.
May 16th.
Okay. If there's nothing else, our last agenda item, Councilmember Kinnear with a proposal for additional traffic enforcement.
Thank you. And I wonder if Chief Meidel, could you come up? So I got a call from Captain Tracy Meidel about situation on North Division regarding racing. And then what is also occurring in the parking lots along North Division. I didn't even know racing was a thing. I didn't know racing was a thing way back when. And so I was totally in the dark about this. And a few council members enlightened me on all this, right? And then we did get a call or an email, WUFU email from somebody in District 3 about the problem. So I talked with council president. I said, can we use some traffic calming money to help patrol with overtime and patrolling that area of North Division that Captain Meidel seems to know where the hot spots are. But in addition to that, we're hearing from people in our district who are also concerned about inattentive driving, road rage, speeding through the neighborhoods. And if we can also do emphasis on different areas in our neighborhood to combat that as well. So do you have an opinion on that? Is it something that you could support?
Yeah, absolutely. So years ago, when I was the North Precinct captain and went to all these neighborhood council meetings, traffic was typically the number one complaint from those that showed up at these meetings. And we know last year we had, if not the most, then certainly towards the top echelon of the most traffic fatalities in the city of Spokane ever. And I think we're all seeing drivers are driving with a lot less attention to what's in front of them and a lot more on their device, their hand. And there's a lot more impatience out there. So again, going back to one of the challenges with being call-driven and our staffing issues, having to hold officers over or call them in is they have to go to those calls. You have victims waiting. So I think what this would do would provide an opportunity for officers to voluntarily come in on overtime and focus on nothing but traffic education and traffic enforcement.
Super.
Chief, would this be similar to, I think it was about a year and a half ago, what Sergeant Fuller did to try and stop a lot of the racing on Division, and also Lions as well? There's a really big problem, and as soon as they did whatever they did, it stopped. And so would it be something similar to that?
It would be, and we're lucky. We get grants occasionally through the state where we can do basically inattentive driving, which is in essence people who are on their phone. You can do a lot of the more aggressive driving, which is tailgating, and it's funding provided typically by the state for nothing more than focusing on those specific violations. The nice part about this one is we're allowed to focus on a broader spectrum that's creating all these issues. And again, we know that we'll hit an area for a while, and it will calm down for a little bit, and then we may have to go back to those areas as well.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I think this is a great idea. We think there's gunshots by our house basically every night, and it turns out it's just drag racing up and down on Division. We live just a few blocks off, and so, yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Great, thanks so much.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our agenda, and unfortunately, it's a very short break for us, but that's okay. So we will adjourn, and we'll see you all at our public safety meeting next month.